Hi, I'm Mark Szorady. Thanks for tuning into my channel. If this is your first visit to my YouTube channel or my blog, well, let me tell you a little bit about myself. I'm a cartoonist. I draw a comic strip called George, and it's featured on the georgetoon.com/blog. I talk about cartooning and the different tools that I use to create my comic strip and comic features. I'm a big Linux user, so that's what you'll find on my blog. You'll find my comic strip, my comic features, videos discussing Linux and the various programs and applications on Linux that I use to create cartoons. And every once in a while I get into areas that are a little more obscure, like putting an Amazon Fire Stick on an old tube TV or a converter box on an old tube TV. But here's something of interest. Toon Appetit. This book features recipes and artwork from cartoonists from the Great Lakes chapter of the National Cartoonist Society, which I'm a member of, and I contributed to it. And you can buy it. I have a link on here, but you can buy it right here at Brawler Books. So if you're interested in getting it, that's where you get it. And it's got a great recipe in there for Hungarian chicken paprikash. So I'm sure you'll enjoy that as I click through some of the screens to kind of give you a preview of what I'm going to talk about. Anyhow, last week I was in Hudson, Ohio at the Hudson Library giving a talk on cartooning with my fellow cartoonists. We also talked about this cookbook. And I talked how I use Linux. I talked about how I use Linux in creating my cartoons and my comic strips. A couple days later it dawned on me that a lot of the students that attended this get-together don't use Linux. They don't even use Windows or Mac computers anymore. Many students across the nation now use the Chromebook, the Google Chromebook. I know this school locally in my area gave all the kids in elementary, junior high, and high school Chromebooks to use. And the question is, how do you get all these great Linux programs to run on a Chromebook? You can get them to run on Linux, on Mac, on Windows, but how do you get to run them on a Chromebook? Well, that's where this comes in. This company called rollApp, rollApp.com. You create an account at rollApp.com. Here's my account here. And then you get to run all these great Linux programs on a Chromebook. They've ported them to the Chromebook and to the cloud somehow, which is terrific. So here's how you do it. You go to the Chrome web store, and let's just type in rollApp, and it'll bring up many of the programs that they feature. Here you can see I've already installed GIMP and OpenOffice and LibreOffice. OpenOffice and LibreOffice are pretty much the same. It depends on which Linux distribution you're using, which one gets installed, but they're compatible with one another. They're also available on Windows and Mac, and they're compatible with Microsoft Word. Anyhow, after you get this installed on your Chromebook by adding it, again, you create an account here, and then you tie in your cloud storage. Now I have Dropbox and Box connected to my rollApp account, which means anything I have in Dropbox and Box, I can then open up on those Linux apps that I'll be running in Chromebook, which is really sweet. So you can launch the applications in one of three ways. You can launch them from your web application page in Chrome. You can launch them right from rollApp, right here. Or I happen to have the launcher here, the Chromebook launcher. Even though I'm running a Linux system, I have the Chromebook launcher here. You can launch them right from the Chromebook menu, and I have one here called Linux Apps, and that's another tip I'm going to show you in another video. So let's go ahead and just launch GIMP, and you'll see what it looks like. So here we are, we're launching GIMP. GIMP is starting up. You can see from the logo and the artwork that it's rollApp, and here it is. And there's GIMP, just like it is in Linux, running in Chrome OS or a Chromebook. And here they give you a little, up here, they give you a little tab where you can get a shopping cart, use your clipboard, that sort of thing. I'll explain a little bit of that later. But let's open a file. I'm going to open up something in my cloud storage just by going to Home. And you can see now that my box and Dropbox are both linked. So let's go to my box here, and here's a test picture I've been working with. And this is all cloud-based computing. So I'm running a Linux program on a Chromebook, essentially. And there's my artwork. And here it is. Now, of course, this is through the cloud, so there's going to be a little bit of delay depending on how fast your connection is. I'm got a Wi-Fi connection here from my desktop system, the way I'm set up at home on my home computer. So there is going to be a little bit of the difference, a little bit of the lag. But still, it works very, very well. So here we'll just change my mode to RGB so I can add color. And I'll just give you a little example of what you can do. Get some red. I'll come over here and I'll get my dump bucket. And I'll just add some red color there and some red color there. So you can see that it works. It works great. So you can edit in GIMP on a Chromebook. You can also run OpenOffice, LibreOffice, Scribus, desktop publishing. Anything that is available in Linux, for the most part, is going to be available through rollApp for the Chromebook. Now, they're adding applications all the time. Not everything is available yet, but you can make suggestions and ask them, hey, I'd like to have this application, and they'll work on it. And there's enough public sentiment out there, enough users who want it, then they'll go ahead and move it forward. So again, if you want to save this, you would then save it back to your drive in the cloud. Now, let me quit this here, and I'm going to discard my changes. I'm not going to save anything right now, because that now brings us to the final point of all this. You're probably wondering, is there a downside? Well, it's a downside or an upside. I don't know, however you look at it. This is a subscription service. It's free to use. It's free to use on your Chromebook, your Windows, Mac, Linux. It's free to look at this stuff, and it's also available on your tablets and smartphones and iPads and Android tablets and that sort of thing. But in order to save something, you have to pay a subscription fee for it. So if you pay annually, it works out to $5.99 a month. So that's about $72 a year. If you pay monthly, just like you want to try it for a month or so, or 2 months, it's $6.99 a month. And of course, over here they have some premium rates for groups. I'll let you investigate that a little later. But that's, well, I guess some people might consider it some downside, others might consider it an upside. I'm neither way on it right now, to be honest with you. I think it's just neat that I can run a Linux application in Chromebook without having to hack the Chromebook and try to do a dual boot with Linux that's out there. That's an Ubuntu dual boot that some people are offering. Maybe you're prohibited from messing with a Chromebook because you're a student at a high school or a junior high, and they tell you don't open it up and mess around with it. So this is a very workable solution, provided you don't mind paying to save files. But really, you think about it, if you're going to save files and you're working with GIMP, it's a great program, and some of the other programs are very, very good, and you like those programs, and you have access across Chromebook and a lot of other devices, it might be worthwhile for you. I leave it to you. I'm a Linux user. All these programs are free on Linux. Linux is free. All you have to do is get an old PC box, wipe Windows off of it, install Linux, and you're up and running just for the cost of that box. But if you have a Chromebook, you don't have any other options, and you really want to try some of these programs, well, you can create an account here and get rollApp, install some of those Linux programs. They'll give you 14 days free to save files, to try it out, to give it a really good test drive. So that's 14 days you can really look it over and see if it's something that you like and something you want to spend money on. All right, hey, that's it right now. Thanks very much for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe. Please check out my blog, and I thank you so much for tuning in. Take care. Bye-bye.